Well, look, we never make a decision in the Middle East without consulting with Israel. And as I stated on your show a week ago, I suppose it was, they just discovered natural gas. It's called the Genie Corporation, Energy Corporation, just developed and has now the first contract to develop natural gas in the Golan Heights. And that goes to a Dick Cheney contractor. So, of course there's a lot of stake. That means it's right on the border of Syria, if you haven't looked at a map lately. So right on the border of Syria, Israel has discovered natural gas, but it's in the buffer zone, which means they have to move another 10 miles towards Syria. So, of course, that's going to have some influence on the decision, but that would be the wrong way. That would be the other way. Israel wants Obama to go in and attack. So Israel's not preventing. Isn't what changed Obama's mind. In fact, in an article in the Army Times that came out Friday of last week, it outlined the shock and surprise of the National Security Council that Obama did a complete turnaround. He was prepared to go in without congressional or UN approval. He was going to go in no differently than George Bush Jr., and because Bush Jr. did it, that's the precedent that he could have done it. That's not what stopped him. What shocked the National Security Council is that he came and suddenly out of nowhere stopped. Now they're saying it's inexplicable, Obama's mind, but that's not true. Over that exact same period of time, 2 articles appeared in the European Union Times. The first one is that the Saudis threatened Vladimir Putin, threatened him that if it was allowed to go forward, they would use Chechen rebels in both Syria and in other parts of the world that would threaten Russian interests. They demanded that the Russians stand down. Well, Putin doesn't like being threatened. So his counter threat was if America goes in to Syria, he will hit with cruise missiles an equal battery of cruise missiles Saudi Arabia. Now that's extremely distinct for Putin to do such a thing because he's not threatening a nation-state over nation-state dealings with Syria. What he's threatening for the first time, as far as I know, he's threatened the American oligarchy and its tributaries. What I refer to the Saudis of the East, Saudi Arabia, there's the Saudis of the West, led by the Bush family. So for the first time, Putin is saying, if you attack Syria, I've had it. I'll attack your business partners in the global regime. I'll go after Saudi Arabia. That's what put the brakes on it. That's why we have the authorization going down in Congress, and that's why the authorization is so bloody vague. It's even more vague than anything Bush ever would have suggested. So actually, it was Putin that kind of boxed Obama in. Now, would he do it? Would he attack Saudi Arabia? I don't know. We've never figured out the Russian thinking. We still don't understand Putin. But I'll tell you what, this is the first time that the Russians or anybody else has countered an American launch of military force in the Middle East with a launch against the American oligarchy, oil, gas interests, pipeline interests.
Right. Hang on a second, Craig, because you got to take a break.